It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I had the privilege of interviewing the new College of Florida Mighty Banyans assistant women's basketball coach, Coach Cristina Reyes. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm doing good. Can you talk about how you knew that you want to get started in coaching in college women's basketball?
I knew at the beginning of my freshman year, my first year in college at Warner University, I was a student manager. So it was a very different point of view from being a player to being then a student manager. From then, I was able to see like the background of what it was like to be a head coach as well as an assistant. And to me, I was like, I want to be that impact. I'm very big on being a helper and being a teacher. That's kind of my major. So I wanted to be that for these players, especially in how these coaches impact these players. So I was able to be like, I want to be that role for them as how they've been for me when I played in high school. And even the coaches that I worked with, they were a role model to me. So I knew that I wanted to be that. And also the players that were in that year, like they also made big impact of me making that decision. The relationships I built with them, the things that I learned from them, from the transfer portal that I even knew about, to the little itty bitty things, as well as my dad. He used to coach back home in Puerto Rico. So I knew how of impact he made for those kids that he coached. So I wanted to be that.
What was that experience like being a student manager at Warner?
It was challenging. From being a player to then being a student manager, kind of doing the background stuff, it was very challenging at first. But to me, now looking back on it, it was very rewarding. I was able to learn and see the different tools that the coaches use, the different strategies that everybody brought to the table, as well as the different players that we had. So seeing it from a different point of view, even though I was in the background doing the simple things that a lot of people don't see, it was very, very rewarding to that led to me to be now who I am.
For you, what was that experience like going from being the team manager to being the assistant coach?
It was it was very rewarding. I was very excited because I knew that all the work that I did, all the learning that I did with Nikki Jesse and working for her and under her, and basically she took me under her wing, kind of paid off. Well, not kind of, it paid off. But working under her as well as with the assistant coach, learning from him, Brian Cruz, who is now my boss, it really paid off later on. So for me, it was very rewarding. I was very fortunate because not a lot of people get that opportunity, and she saw something in me that I didn't think I would never see in myself. So I was very appreciative.
For you, how was that feeling like getting to be the head coach at the on the varsity reserve at your alma mater?
Oh, it was it was very nerve wracking, but I was up for the challenge. I felt like I wasn't ready, but Nikki believed in me and how I can impact these kids and help develop these kids. Like I said, I'm a very big helper, so I'm very big about helping the players get to where they need to be. So she saw something in me that at first I didn't see in myself, and I thought I would do. But thanks to her and believing in me, as well as my family believing in me and the passion that I have for this game, I took on the challenge. And those first 2 years were very, very exciting for me, especially that we made it to the championship in the varsity reserve championship in the NAIA that we have the tournament. So we won one championship and the other one we came second. But being a part of that and being a part of the development was the most rewarding thing for me, especially that I was able to help 7 girls be at the varsity level.
How was that feeling like getting to step onto the court for the first time as a head varsity coach?
I was very nervous. I think that was the most nervous I've ever been for a game. We were just, and it was just a scrimmage, the first game. But it was very nerve wracking, but I was also proud of myself. The things that I went through that led me to that moment. And even I remember Nikki Jesse as well as Cruz when he was the assistant for her. They talked to me before the game, and they told me how proud they were at me, and just to focus, love on these girls, help these girls. So that was my main focus that game, just to make sure like I was myself. I was supporting them as much as possible, and just take it all in as that was my first time.
For you, what was that transition like going from leaving your alma mater to coming to New College of Florida to become
Uh,
coach?
it was a bittersweet. I thought that I would be there forever, but it was honestly a bittersweet. I knew that in order for me to get better and get out there and people to know about me, I had to get out of my little comfort zone, of my little bubble. So in order for me to do that, I knew I had to do that step. So it was a bittersweet. But I wrapped it up in an amazing way with an amazing group of girls that last year. Honestly, I was able to develop about 5 girls that year to go to varsity. So it was very rewarding to see that, as well as end up in a really good note. But the transition was pretty amazing.
For you, what was that feeling like the first time you stepped onto the New College of Florida's court for the first time as a coach?
I was very excited, being able to work under Brian Cruz and stepping with these new group of girls that are very passionate about this game. I was very excited. I was nervous also because it was the first game. I don't know why I get a little bit nervous when it comes to first game, but once the game goes, I'm all about focusing on the game. Very passionate about the game, but I was very excited, and it felt like a very new beginning for me, as I came from a different program to this program right now. To me, it was like this is an awe moment of like this is where I'm starting and this is where I'm heading, and I think I'm heading the right way.
What have been some of the things you've been able to accomplish so far at New College of Florida?
So this year, I was able to accomplish helping one of our varsity reserve girls develop to make it to varsity. So that's one of my biggest accomplishments that I'm very, very proud of. As well as making it to the championship this year again, but in the NCF program. Um, so those are my two biggest accomplishments, especially and being able to have 8 players this year at the varsity reserve, but making it all the way far and seeing them battle honestly was the best thing in the world this year for this season.
What does a typical game day look like for you as a coach versus for your players?
So usually game days are Wednesdays and Saturdays. I will give you an example for Saturdays. So Saturdays games are at 2 p.m. I'm usually there between 10:30, close to 11. I'll make sure that the jerseys are there at the locker room. I make sure that we have the scouting reports for the girls to have, as well as us to the coaches, so we can go over it before we head to the court. I make sure I bring the rollies in the bands. I make sure that the training room is good, as well as the visiting room for the team is good, as well as the referee. So I'm kind of the one that kind of like makes sure everything's good before everybody comes. I try my very best to make sure of that. So once the girls come in between 10:30 and 11, as well as the coaches, we get them rolling in a sense of making sure that they start getting dressed, they start getting tape and seeing the trainer. They go over the scouting report, as well as making sure that the head coach is good. He has his marker for his whiteboard and all that good stuff. So we make sure between that time from 11 till 12:45, they do those things. So then at 12:45, the girls head into the gym and start warming up, getting some shots up. This we have a group that gets shots up. We have a group that does rollies and bands, and we make sure we interact with them to make sure they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. For about 15 minutes. After the 15 minutes, they start doing dynamic warm ups, which they're supposed to go hard, and they go hard. And then from there, once we hit the 30-minute mark, we go in the locker room, we huddle. The head coach, gives a quick pointers, what we got to do in the game, what the girls have to do, and what we got to focus on. And from there, we do a live warm up to get us into the game, and then game starts at 2.
Can you talk about, of course, the culture that you've started to help to build at New College of Florida?
Yes, so we have 3 standards, which are the ACH, adaptable, which this year we did a lot of adapting. We got hit by a hurricane, so our gym got a little bit damaged. So we had a different practice in different gyms, so the girls had to adapt to that. So we make sure that we look for girls that are okay being able to adapt. Are they going to, if they miss a layup, are they going to put their head down and just jog back, or are they going to sprint back and get a defensive stop and get us back in offense? So we look at those things, especially also in academics. If you know that you're not having a good grade, are you going to look for help, or are you going to talk to us so we can be able to help you get to where you need to be? Connected. I mean, being connected as a team is very, very important, especially when it comes to playing. So we make sure that the girls do different team bondings, as well as they do things with themselves. Not always us directing it, but we do volunteering as well together as a team, as well as we try to connect with them. Do little individual meetings and groups to make sure that they're okay. But at the end of the day, like Coach Cruz says, like if they're not jamming, outside, then they won't jam when it comes to the playing time. And then the last thing, hardworking. One of the things that Coach Cruz is very, very passionate about is like he wants to have and we're gonna be the best and hardest working gym in the nation. And we tell the girls all the time, like we want to be that team that's the hardest, that works the hardest, doesn't be lazy. So we're all about that. That's a non-negotiable for us, especially in our standard and in our standard.
Who are some of the teams in your conference that you compete against?
So we play Warder, which is my alma mater. We also play Ave Maria. We play Weber, Kaiser, as well as Florida Memorial, Southeastern, and Coastal Georgia.
What is that home game atmosphere like when teams like Kaiser comes to home versus going to your alma mater of Warner?
It's very different. So when Kaiser comes home, it's kind of for me like, okay, I'm kind of used to them. I've been in the conference for a while, so I've seen the coach before. I know the type of players that she looks for. I know what she brings to the table. Compared to Warner, especially this year, was a very odd moment because I came from there, so it was very, very different for me this year playing against them. But it was actually, I was very happy to see the girls that I was able to develop and I worked with be where they at right now, and just seeing them again was very rewarding. But it was still the same mission. We had to get a dub, and we did that.
As a coach, what are some of your game day routines and rituals to prepare for game day?
For me, music is the first thing. But before that, I do praying. I make sure I pray before everything. Especially, I pray over the girls. Make sure nothing happens, with the injuries, especially that's happening nowadays. So I make sure I pray. After that, I start putting some music on, get ready for game day. Make sure I get some food afterwards on the go, if possible, because I'm always on the go. And then I usually either call my dad or my mom, just kind of see how they're doing. They kind of help me with my nerves a little bit. They know me best. But after that, I make sure that I make sure that the coaches have everything they need. I ask Cruz, what he needs. We kind of go over like all the steps, like do we have the jerseys? Do we have the rollies? We go over that, as well as the other assistant coaches. And I make sure that they're okay as well.
What does that recruitment process look like for those prospective student athletes? And as a coach, what do you look at them?
We first look at academics. I think the most important thing is the academic part. They're a student before an athlete. So we looked at their GPAs, their SAT scores, and ACT scores. After that, if they hit our boxes, we make sure that they we look at their film. Me and the head coaches and the other coaches also look at the film. So if we think that they will bring something to the table, we'll start contacting them, being interested in them, building that bond with them. We try to reach out to them at least once a week. We try to get on a phone call at least once a week as well. So we try to build that relationship, and later on, hopefully get them to apply, come on a visit and see like the great campus that we have being close by the bay, and then hopefully get them to commit.
As a coach, what is it like seeing those freshmen putting on that uniform for New College of Florida for the first time versus for your seniors putting it on for the last time?
Freshmen, it's very exciting, and I get a little bit nervous for them because it's their first game. But it's very exciting to see them, how they're starting their journey here at New College of Florida. They could have gone anywhere else, but they decided to come with us. So that's very, very exciting to see, and see, so they can see also where they're going to be headed later on, and what their future can look like here at New College. So them taking that step is kind of like for them, it's like, okay, I made it. It's very rewarding to see that. Very excited to see that. For seniors, it's very emotional. For me, especially, is emotional. Some of these players they've been here since the beginning of how everything started, and some of them are transferring and graduating next year. But for me, it's emotional because they worked so hard from being little or coming from the high school level. They worked so hard to get to where they're at now, and they have developed so much to where they need to be. So it's kind of like an awe moment, seeing them wear that for the last time, but very, very proud of moment as well.
As a coach, what is it like seeing those freshmen achieve those first big milestones, like first points, first career points, versus your seniors achieving those last big milestones?
For both of them, I get very, very excited. I'm the type of coach that I'm jumping up and down the floor, celebrating the little things. For us, it's very important to celebrate the little things, because we want to make sure the girls know that they're going in the right direction. So I'm the type of coach that I'm screaming, I'm yelling, but also staying focused on what we had to do in our mission, which is to win. But being able both for freshmen and seniors to see that they're hitting the goals that they want and achieving that, it's very rewarding, very proud moment.
As a coach, how is it like getting to see those players going on and playing in professional basketball, whether it's WNBA or Athletes Unlimited?
To me, it's very. I get very happy because it's like you did something. You have helped them along the way to where they want to be, and when they accomplish that, I get very happy, and I get very proud of them. Especially, some of these girls, they work their butts off, as much as possible to make it there. So for me, it's like, I'm proud of them, and I get very happy that they get that chance. Not a lot of people get those chances. So that's what I feel when it comes to that.
What have been some of the things you've been able to accomplish so far, and what are some of your future plans and goals for the program?
So far this year at New College, we were able to move up one of our varsity reserve to varsity, as well as one of our varsity players made it second team all conference. And we also have a player that won the best at being doing community service, which we're very, very proud of. She's always in the community serving for others, and I think that kind of resembles us as who we are. We're not only a hardworking team, and that wants to win. We're also people that want to serve the community and want to make an impact here as well. So those are really big accomplishments that we have done, as well as winning and going to the varsity research championship as well, and developing these girls. And future plans is go to that championship, to win that championship. I think that's everybody's goal. Nobody likes to lose, everybody wants to win. But for us is taking every step little by little to make it to that main goal, which is to win a championship level.
What advice would you give those incoming freshmen entering their first year of college women's basketball?
I tell them to take it all in, and just take it little by little. Be patient. Don't take everything personal. Sometimes coaches can be a little bit hard, but it's because we care about you. We know that you can give us more than what you've been doing. So just be patient. Just take it all in. It's a really great experience. Not a lot of people get to do this or get to the collegiate level. So just take it all in as much as possible, as well as just be patient and work your butt off.
What advice would you give those players that have aspirations of going on to the WNBA or playing overseas?
Keep pushing and believing in yourself. If you know you can do it, go for it. I can tell you myself, I was a student manager first year, and then I made it to where I am right now. So me, I've always been a believer. If I believe in myself and I have people that have my back and believe in me, I know I'm gonna make it. So just keep believing in yourself, keep working hard, keep striving to what you want to do in life, and it doesn't matter, just adapt to that situation.
What advice would you give those college women basketball players out there that have aspirations of getting into coaching after their playing career?
Learn as much as possible. Get to connect with other people and other coaches, as well as be patient. It does get hard sometimes. So be patient. Don't get too hard on yourself. Don't try to be perfect, because we're not perfect. But be patient. Just take it all in as much as possible. help as much as possible, be an impact, especially for this generation. They love coaches, and they like to have an impact and have a role model. So be that for them. But honestly, just be patient, take your time, and learn as much as possible because it will get you far.
What advice would you give those coaches out there are looking to get started into their coaching journey, whether they're looking to be assistant coaches or getting just started?
I would tell them to, like I said, make sure that they learn as much as possible and take everything in and make sure that you connect with the players. I think that's the most important thing, being able to connect with them and reach out to other coaches to see different strategies. Every player is different. So not the strategies that you might think that might work on them might work. So make sure you learn different strategies that could help the player that you have.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you out on social media along with the program app?
My social media is Instagram. It goes by underscore Christy, so CRISTY, then underscore R.B. Our team social media is NCF Mighty Banyas Women's Basketball.
Thank you again, Coach Cristina Reyes, for your info and best of luck in your future at New College of Florida Mighty Banyas.
Thank you so much.
You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Coach Cristina, for your info. Best of luck in your future.
Thank you.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.